I'm Abhilash Pattajoshi. I'm from XIM MBA batch of 23-25. So I did my summer internship in Tata Steel, and my domain was supply chain management, and I was posted in Jamshedpur office. Yeah, I'll go one by one. First, coming to academics, they do play a major role in your internship. The reason being, in many of the companies, these problems they give you, they are generally based on some real life examples or some of the ongoing project of the company. So the moment you enter the company, what happens that they usually they want that you get started very early. So in their meeting, you don't get to understand anything, the key terms they're discussing. So it is better that you brush up some of your basics before you get in the company. Then practice, go through the key concepts of those subject and how it is applicable in the company as a whole or in your particular department, because that gives you a stronghold about the subject. So academics do play an important role. Coming to manufacturing industry, like Tata Steel, I would say your academics, generally your OM1 and OM2, and to some extent ADM as well, because in many of the manufacturing industry these days they are giving problems related to costing. How you do a you have to basically design a template based on which a costing will be done and a target price will be given to the vendor. So these three subjects, academically, if you have your basics at place, I think that is a great way to go. Coming to peer learning, I think its importance is at par with academics. I have learned many of my key knowledge from peer as well. Reason being, before even joining Tata Steel, during the interview I approached some of my peers who were into manufacturing industry as their work ex, like in Maruti Suzuki, or some of the motor companies and generator companies like Tata Power also. So they have also given me their insights, like the kind of question you can expect in the interview. During the internship also, whenever I needed any help from a law, I would say in a journey like MBA, we do compete because for limited seats we have to compete for a particular job role, a particular company. But you have to also learn from your peers. Even in the case comps, it's better to ask someone who has work ex in that particular industry or domain. He will give you a lot of knowledge that you don't get. Second, it also saves your time, because anything like these specifics, you have to go through maybe thousands of videos before you get the details. But your friends can explain you in the most layman way and even in minutes. So that's why peer learning is very important. Coming to PlaceCom, I would say Lena ma'am, Alok sir, Francis sir, and the whole casting were being, were very supportive to me. Like in some of the instances, many of the deadlines and our internship submission were clashing, but they helped us out. They requested the academics department that they should spare some time for us, so that we can join late. And also during the process and all those interim periods, they have been very supportive. Yeah, actually, the internship was a very interesting one, because though manufacturing industry comes under operation, my internship was in a combination of operations, IT, and a bit of strategy as well. Initially, I had to understand. I was actually into the procurement, and being very specific, it was MRO procurement, which stands for maintenance, repair, and overall. So from the operations aspect, I spent initial 25 or 30 days just to understand how the procurement division in Tata Steel work. They do a specific type of procurement which is called a CCT, category competency team. There are various categories, and it is managed by a team which consists of the category manager, who is actually the person who is responsible for the purchase, and also people who will be the end users, quality, safety people. So I first took some time to understand how these components are working together, and then IT aspect was I had to basically design a system which I call the CCT management system, which will be a central repository for many of their strategic initiatives. So that data repository work for them in the future. Improvements, initiatives in some of their CCT, they can just go through it. That was the IT aspects of it, for which I had to sit with the IT department and understand from where we can fetch the data for automation of these tasks. And it's basically certain KPI of each CCT. So initially, what was that all these CCT were working independently, and there was no central repository to check whether they are going in the right direction. Sustainability initiatives, deprop initiative, failure tracking system, whether they are all at place. But now they have a central uh, system that. So lastly, I delivered a BRD, which is the Bible of how to do everything. That is business requirement document, along with the PPT, of this whole CCT management system, which I designed for the automation of this CCT work. So that was my project, was all about, comprises of three components: operation, bit of IT, and bit of strategy. In the manufacturing sector, the major challenges, there are a lot of departments. Like you have people from safety, quality, even there are various sites of Tata Steel operating. So getting the data for that CCT management system I was talking earlier, to getting the data was the most crucial aspect of it. What happens in a layman word, the data is stored in the key value pair combination. So you have the primary key and then the data. For the vendor management team, the vendor code could be the primary key, but when it comes to the procurement team, maybe the material code or the item code serves as the primary key. Coordinate so that you have a single database. Duplication of data can be avoided, and a well coordinated and integrated system can be built. So that was the hardest part of the interview, because I had to go from department to department, understand their working procedure, what they consider as the key aspects of their data, and then to tell them that in what way we can make it productive, in what way we can channelize this, and what way we can keep a single data across the departments, convincing them that the system would work and reduce their time, reduce the manpower. So that was the difficult part of the internship. For people who are interested in manufacturing industry, first thing, before interview, you have to go to the compendium. You don't need anything beyond compendium for your basics. There you get the essentials of OM1, OM2, and if you have time, go to some basic understanding of ATM. That is what I recommend. After that, the next best thing is understanding the company, that is through their website. Right, every company wants to talk about the initiatives they are doing, what they're doing unique in the industry. So in the website itself, you'll find some of the awards that the company has got, some of the sustainability initiative, green initiative the company has taken. And if by any means you can put it in your interview, it can earn you brownie points. So that is also the second thing I recommend. Also, if you have time, you can also go through their annual financial report, some data on the EBITDA margin, and the share price. These are some of the basics that they want to know. If you are from engineering background, you can expect some of the questions from your undergrad as well. And people who have work ex in the manufacturing industry, they can expect a lot of question, a lot of grilling in for their work ex. Even I was coming from a operation background, so I actually asked a lot of questions based on operations of my work gigs in the company, what I actually did. And they do get into a lot of technicality for those students. Otherwise, if you are, just preparing these things, I don't think there will be any question that you cannot answer.
Hi, I'm Shreya. I am from the XIM BM batch of 23-25, and I did my summer internship with Ultratech Cement in the role of operations. I was based out of the cement plant called Aditya Cement Works, which was located near Chittorgarh in a village called Sava. So my project was actually a problem statement, and I was stationed at the plant to try and study this problem statement and see if I could provide a solution. So basically, I had to study the 150-kilometer radius of the plant, analyze the different orders, and see if you could somehow generate repeat orders from that area. Now, why this 150-kilometer area was important? Because it was something that was highly profitable, because the transportation and logistics cost is way lesser. Plus, it was a very competitive cluster area. So I had to approach this project in two ways. One was that I had to analyze the key quantitative metrics, such as the turnaround time or the order execution time, or if the orders are going on time and in full. And then I had to identify the gaps from these metrics. And later, then to fill in these gaps, I had to do a bit of quantitative research. So thereon, I've reached out to the various stakeholders of the people at the plant, maybe the plant logistics head or the plant manager, road transportation head, the fleet owners, even the drivers, the vendors, the customers, the dealers. And I had to then understand what problems they were facing, understand the different trade-offs of all these stakeholders, and somehow provide a solution that could help bridge a lot of these gaps and work for all of these people. So basically, the impact that it created is that because I was a third party observer and not really any of the stakeholder, I was able to observe it from the outside and then give a solution that could reduce the reliance on some of the common factors that were creating the problems. I could also recommend a lot of mechanization that not only helped reduce cost, but also helped with a lot of the labor issues that were going on in that area. Okay, so operations as an industry, it's very fast paced because it never stops. A plant never stops working. So even as an intern, I was working around 6 days a week. I was living cut off from the city. Like the nearest big city was around 13 kilometers away. There was nothing nearby. Even if you lost something as simple as a charger, you had to wait for the next weekend, or sometime you could go to the city to actually get it. So that was definitely one of the biggest challenges, being completely cut off. And then again, it was not a typical 9 to 5. A lot of challenges, lot of work pressure, so to say. Another thing was that India as a country is not something that is very used to having women in the forefront, especially not something that's common in on-ground operations. So whenever I had to talk to the different stakeholders, if I had to talk to someone like a truck driver, or even if I'm talking to a dealer who is dealing with a more rural area, or if I'm talking to a fleet owner, they had certain reservations, not reservations because I was a woman, but because they had never really dealt with women in that field, and definitely had some gaps in talking to me. But then my team was very helpful in that. My mentor was very helpful. They'd sit there, have conversation, ask the right questions, help me bridge the gap. So that helped. But yeah, that was definitely a challenge. So basically, adaptability is something I would say is very important in manufacturing sector or something like operations, because as I have been saying that there are a lot of people whose collaboration is required in fulfilling even one order, right? So whenever you speak to these people, all of them will have their different set of own challenges. So if I go and approach them, the like was my approach in the beginning. I went and approached them with a very fixed questionnaire that I was asked them questions about, and it was just from the perspective of someone who would be stationed at the cement plant and fulfilling orders in my role or the role of my mentor. So the answers that I got were very limited, just based on what I asked. Another thing was that I did not really know how to ask the right questions because, again, I was very new to this core operations. Then one time on a market visit, I was able to have a conversation with the sales guy, and it was a very normal conversation, quick and casual, and that really gave me a lot more insights into their problem, their approach, which helped me understand their perspective a lot. And from there on, I changed my approach. Whoever I was talking to, I would speak their language, so to say. I would try to understand their perspective. So if I'm talking to maybe someone who is handling the plant, I will try to understand what problems they are facing with fulfilling the orders, and how much pressure we are putting on them, or what problems they are facing because of us. And that really helped them give me a deeper insight, which definitely helped widen my perspective a lot. So that was something that helped. So for the 2 years at XIM, I was interacting with various people from different walks of life. I was a new fresher, so I'd only ever interacted with people similar to my field, similar to my area. Coming in an MBA, I was interacting with someone who was an engineer, someone who's from the medical background, someone from the bio background, even lawyers. So that really opened up my mind to multiple perspective, and I was able to hold a conversation with anyone regardless of how much we had in common. Another thing was that sitting in a classroom and having discussions, solving case studies, or interacting in class, giving our own opinions, that really also helped, again, the same thing, with being more curious, with being more open. And that was something that very much contributed to me being able to talk to a lot of people when I was stationed at the plant. And it had really helped me be curious about the work that they were doing, which really led to them being interested in telling me the things that they would not normally just answer because I asked. Another thing was that because I had studied the basics of operations, that definitely helped me give me a foundation to actually understand the on-plant operations. Okay. So one thing that's very important, I would say, is that I really wish I had more knowledge about the industry I was working in as a whole. So because I was working in cement industry, I felt like a lot of times I did not know about how the industry as a whole worked, or what their specific operations are, because for every industry there are a few constraints that the industry itself faces. That is not the problem of any specific plant or any specific company. So I wish I had known more about that. Even though my mentor did guide me about it, there were a lot of times when I discover a loophole or discover a bottleneck, and I'd bring it up to them, and then just I'd realize that this is actually just a constraint of the industry, and this is something that can't be helped. Another thing was that there's a lot of data analytics that is involved in operations. So the use of Excel was very prominent. And although I was good with Excel, I'd done courses in Excel, there were still times when I wish I knew a bit more, and I'd find myself researching and learning Excel right there just to apply it. So those were two things that I felt I could have brushed up on. Yeah, I would say that you should go for it. It's a very interesting place to be. It will open you up to a completely new world. You'll be completely lost in the world of transportation, road transportation, fleet management. You'll find yourself having casual conversations about which fleet is owner owned, which fleet is owned by the company, GPS tracking, RFID, things like that. So it's a very interesting, very good place to be. Another thing is that you can see the impact of your work in real time. So if you're working on something, and if you're working on managing a fleet, or if you're working on getting an order out on time, it is something that you'll be able to see in real time when it gets delivered, how you managed it, how you interacted with different people to make that work. So that is something that feels really good, being able to see the impact of your work. That being said, it's not a 9 to 5 job. It comes with its own set of challenges. For a manufacturing industry, especially something like cement, you will always be living cut off away from the city. And even if you are not, even if you're living in an office location in a city, you'll have to do it multiple plants visit. That's one. And another thing is, you'll always be busy. It'll mostly always be a 6 day week. So that is demanding. But if you're curious about it, and if you're genuinely interested in it, then I think you'll have a lot of fun. And I would just say that if you're interested, then you need to keep up with a lot of trends. You need to understand the global operations industry, Indian industry, why the cost of operations in India is higher, why is it better in the US, what are the different trends and the different technologies that are currently in the industry. Like right now, RFID, GPS tracking, all of these things are very common, and the applicability of these things, those are something that you need to keep up with. You can also research more about the kind of operations that you actually want to go in, because there, of course, is things like cement, and there's things like e-commerce, there's things like quick commerce. You can go into fashion retail, you can go into FMCG. So there's a whole world out there. You can research about it, you can get to know what you're actually interested in, and then you can just go with an open mind.